Hello and welcome to another episode of The Aftermath. My name is Ian. I'm joined by Dylan.
You'll never guess who I am.
The one and only. The mainstay.
Of course. Never will I leave.
Trust me.
Always I shall remain.
Of course. How you been?
Much to your chagrin. Oh, I'm fucking tired.
Yeah?
Really tired.
Yeah. Well, you're in the process of trying to change career paths, huh?
Gonna be juggling too for a little bit.
Oh, that sounds like a whole basket load of fun.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
I mean, yeah. So,
Ugh,
the process hasn't started yet, though, right? You're still, just working.
I'm on the cusp.
I see, okay.
I just gotta get a couple other things sorted out, and I'm ready to start.
Nice. Sounds like fun. Well, so for this week, we watched a movie called
Léon,
the Professional. I never heard of this movie.
Really?
No, I've never heard of this movie at all.
Wow.
And I thought it was really good.
Mm-hmm.
It had its moments where I thought it was kind of strange, but it it had just a little, certain line deliveries were a little strange.
Yeah.
But I thought it was a really cool movie.
Mm.
I liked the premise of it.
It's a very enjoyable watch.
The core fundamental of what the movie's about.
Right.
I think there was a few moments where I feel like it could have probably leaned in a little more, but I think
lean in.
It didn't feel. It felt a little cold, and I think they did that on purpose.
Oh yeah.
It felt his character. Before I get into that, is that this is a movie about a man who is a professional hitman and is very good at what he does.
Oh yes.
He is an immigrant from Italy. He's an Italian hitman in New York, and he doesn't know how to read English very well.
Yeah.
And all these kind of things like that I think, and this is also a movie in the mid-90s, so it has that sort of feel about it, which, I will get into as we talk more in depth about this movie.
Mm-hmm.
So, this film, anyways, it's about this guy. He's a hitman, and then there is this kind of auxiliary character that we're introduced to, and there's this kind of weird neighborly relationship between them, and it always kind of seems a little strange right at the top. I'm gonna rip the Band-Aid off. For first act of the movie, her family gets killed off by what you would imagine is drug lords,
right?
And then she kind of
a bunch of deadbeats.
Oh, exactly, hands down,
worst people you could imagine.
And then she ends up, in that moment, whenever her parents or her family is getting murdered. She just kind of walks past it as if it didn't happen,
right? And
then goes at the end of the hall where our man is at. And he obviously his character seems like he's concerned a little bit for this girl's safety, initially, because again, he can tell she's probably being abused in some capacity. I think he does care, but doesn't really know how to show it at all.
Yeah.
And that is, I think, the hard part of the film. Is it takes this kind of comical at times approach to their relationship, because she's trying to be older and trying to be this kind of
she wants him to train her to be a hitman like him,
but then also is kind of trying to be adult in the fact that I think I love you, and it's not
right.
He takes it more of a father-daughter relationship, and she kind of spins it in a different way.
She's a kid. Doesn't know any better. Exactly.
But I think that, and I just read a little something about this, is that let me get his actual name before I ruin this. I think his name is Jean Reno. Yeah. Or Jean Reno. He deliberately plays kind of this cold character towards her. I think is what it said, so that we didn't come across that he's attracted to her in some capacity. It made the movie weird, which I think is done well. Yeah. But the thing I was talking about is leaning into it a little bit, was that him kind of opening up as the movie progresses in this kind of father figure way. I think he did a decent job of that. I think they did, but there was just a little bit. there just wasn't a whole lot that built up to it. So it kind of was
by the end of the movie, you'll definitely think that they've got a more father-daughter
right
dynamic.
Exactly. Yeah, there was just a few things that it was just like they kept kind of coming back to that other side of the coin where she's like kind of this crazy kid where it's like and not enough of but again it also fits in his character that he's kind of like, I don't know how to talk to humans.
Right.
I'm a hitman.
I'm too used to killing people. I don't spend much time talking to them.
Right. So it just has this kind of strange dynamic that I've noticed. But trust me when I say I thought the movie was still very well done. Right. I liked it a lot.
One of my favorite character archetypes are these big tough dudes.
Yeah.
Who have a soft spot for kids.
Yeah.
Like Riding Bean comes to mind.
Oh, I never actually saw that before. So
we have to watch Riding Bean. Oh my God.
Yeah.
But yeah, just seeing that come into play was really funny.
Yeah. And so what I was talking about as well, about this movie having a vibe, is that it feels like New York in the 90s.
Mm.
The whole film, because that's exactly what it is.
Right.
It just has this saturation about it.
Mm.
There are these movies that I just kind of bunch up in this big group, and it's just like New York in the 90s.
Right.
Or the New York in the 2000s.
Yeah.
There is this point in time, but I think everyone has kind of always gravitated towards Los Angeles and New York as far as the United States is concerned.
Right.
For obvious reasons. But there was just, for some reason, this fascination with film in New York in the 90s, I feel like. I feel like every movie dabbled in it being in New York in some capacity.
Yeah. It is one of those set-piece locations.
You're right, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I think it's a trope, and I get offended about it because I'm like, New York
really?
Because I'm like, New York is cool and all, but it's not the best place on earth.
There's definitely a lot of it.
And that's what I'm saying. Is like there are movies in that camp that over glorify New York, and I'm like, I'm glad you think that New York is that cool, but I don't think it is.
Yeah.
And then there's movies like this I think make it more real. Mm-hmm. But even in that regard, I'm like, that still looks like a trash hole. I don't want to be there.
Yeah.
And so there's parts in New York I know I'm generalizing. I also live in the South when it's not the most beautiful place on earth either. I'm not shitting on
as cluttered.
Exactly. I'm not.
It's just subjective. It depends on who you
And you're
ask.
right. And the thing is, I don't like big bustling cities a lot of times. I live in the suburbs, and I'm loving it.
Right.
So it's like, so the thing is, like, trust me when I say I would love to go to New York and like see the sights and probably take in the art, take in the beauty of this wonderful city.
Don't think you could live there.
100% not.
Yeah.
I'm sorry if I walk down the road to go to the local grocery store and I see shit on the road like you probably do. I'm out.
Yeah.
I can't. And I know people just love that sort of stuff where it's like it's New York, things happen, and I'm like, you know what?
Like people like shit on the road.
I'm not saying they like it like that. I'm just saying that they like that kind of spontaneity that like that you can just walk
hustle and bustle.
You can walk outside and have no idea what you're gonna find.
Mm-hmm.
People love that. I'm not that person.
Yeah.
And so to see these movies where everyone's like, "Whoa, New York!" I'm like, "You're right. It is a cool city.
New York.
It is a cool city." But please, like, anyways, just like there are other big cities in the South. We have been to New Orleans before, and it is a very similar vibe.
Yeah.
Where it is.
Don't like cities, folks.
Well, no. Again, it is fun. I could spend a week or weekend there.
You don't want to live in cities.
No, because again, it's like the traffic is always awful. The people are always kind of obnoxious and rude, even in other. I don't know. It's just one of those things where it's like it's a cool kind of thing. It's fun, but like at the end of the day, I'm like, I don't want to. I think I'm too much of a good thing. You know what I mean? That's what it feels like. So that's just again, I've said this before on this podcast. It's like there is this span of time I feel like throughout my entire like childhood / teenage years where it's just like New York, and I'm like, cool.
Right.
Thanks, but no thanks.
Really highlighted all the obnoxious, rude people that live in cities, didn't it?
Well, no, it's like I said, I'm not. And again, by me saying this, I'm not generalizing.
You can't take his words at face value.
Well, no, but I'm just saying that I'm not saying there's not any good people there.
Right.
I'm just saying
Of
whenever
course.
you,
I'm just fucking with you.
I know you are, but I'm just saying is that I feel like anybody that lives in that city would probably agree with me. Is like once you put that many people,
Oh yeah,
it's just like the concentration
there's always a few. I would not put it past anyone. They'll sell those fuckers out immediately.
Right.
It's like, you see that piece of shit over there?
Right,
Don't talk to him.
Watch. Oh, that's just Frank on the corner.
Right.
Anyway.
Everybody knows Frank. Stay away from Frank.
I'm sorry, Frank. I didn't mean to offend you.
No offense, Frank.
Anyways, but so it's movies like this that kind of give it that. Again, they're not in like the high class part of New York.
Right.
They're not in this very elaborate like well off part of town, and you really get to see that. And it's like it just has that feel,
right?
Like of that two camp kind of like kind of stereotype I'm talking about, where it's like this like a glorification of like it's this beautiful vacation spot everyone wants to go to, and then there's also like this kind of like this is the real New York,
right?
Now that's New York.
It's got the real gabagool.
Right, exactly. And this movie has that second one where it's like it definitely feels
distilled,
and it's also it's the 90s, so the technology feels like it's there but not really.
Yeah.
There's walkie talkies and cell phones kind of, but like not anywhere near what we have now.
Right.
And it's like people still use cash for a lot of things, which I know, again, I never thought I would be saying that recently, where it's like all my friends and family are like, I don't carry cash anymore.
Yeah. So
it's like to have just like a person have just like cash stored underneath their floor, and that was just a regular thing.
Right.
But anyways, like so that is just the
now that we've established the setting and Ian's hatred of cities,
right.
We can talk about the movie.
But like, so that sets the tone for a lot of it. Is this guy kind of like lives, how would you say it? He lives comfortably with not a lot.
Right.
He lives in these kind of places
He's
that
a minimalist.
right, very run down. He's just he seems like an honest guy, even though he's a wicked hit. He's a wicked hitman. Yeah. I think the first like 10 minutes of the film really established this guy.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
that opening scene at the hotel, dude.
Man.
Holy shit.
He's hunting down a guy, and he kind of feels like one of those like big scumbag kind of guys.
Somebody that was on the blacklist to like not show his face around town anymore.
Right, and he's coming around. And the phone call, he's like, "I heard you're back in town." No, I'm not.
For a day.
Just for a day. He's like, okay. But
remember how we talked about not seeing your fat fucking mug around here anymore, right?
Yeah. He said he wants to talk to you. Okay. Make sure to what did he say? Make sure to let him know that he...
Make sure he understands.
Yeah, right. And then send him on his way. You understand?
Then say it.
Yeah, I understand. Got it. Dude, it's so good because
they treat Léon like he's a fucking ghost.
Oh, I mean, boy,
like he's a specter
of
vengeance.
Because the thing is, he was in a corner. He was in a shadowed corner. I thought he was in like a closet or something.
Oh yeah.
No, he's just in a corner, and no one could see him.
Right.
And then whenever he's gone, he turns around and is like,
he just disappeared
like a magician.
Yeah.
But it really sells the character. And to continue with the story, the girl that he kind of takes underneath his wing, in a true kind of tropey fashion, you'd feel like she's like, teach me how to be an assassin. And he's like, there's no way.
The unwilling mentor.
Right. I love that his little catchphrase kind of bites him in the ass later, because he's like, no women, no children.
Oh yeah,
that's just the way it is.
Part of the killer's code.
Exactly. Which kind of comes back later in the movie, but there's like the kind of movie, like the second act really builds upon their relationship, Matilda and Léon, of her trying to be productive in some capacity or trying to learn how to be somewhat of an assassin, I guess, of some kind. And he is, I think, learning what it is to it's hard to say love, but to care for somebody.
Right.
Is that I think he's had his best friend, his plant, and he loves his plant. And to be honest, at the beginning of the movie, we saw a couple of scenes of him putting this plant out on a windowsill before he windowsill. Sorry, I always get made fun of for that.
Windowsill.
Yes, I'm from the South. Don't make fun of me. Is that we see these like montages of him like collecting up his stuff, putting on his hat and his like circle glasses or whatever.
Right. The daily routine.
Opening up the window, putting his plant out on the ledge, and heading out. Mm-hmm. And so the plant for me in those first few moments we get to see is it really does feel like it's like the one piece of life that he cares about.
Right.
Out of being an assassin and probably what you can imagine, having no real regard for life is what it feels like, to have this one thing that he's like spraying water on the leaves,
right,
and like wiping down and stuff, and
he's got to balance
tending
it out.
Tending to. He has this one thing that he really loves, and it's really cool to see that, and it's a good visual thing because the items and things around the frame make that plant really stick out,
vibrant.
So like he has like it's like this is just a creative thing that I noticed. He has like white. There's always some sort of white or plain like curtains. Sometimes a blue sky or just like a white balcony. Pretty plain, but it's like a stereotypical like orange pot.
Yeah. With
a big green leafy plant in it. And so it just whenever he sits there in front of the sunlight, it just sticks out, and it's like pay attention to me. And I think it's really cool, and it really. It adds that certain something to his character that he has this one thing. But as he kind of is caring for this kid, you can see that like he opens up and a little bit, and this is what I was talking about before about having this kind of relationship where it's like
he ends up showing a bit more of a personality than he did initially.
Right. But the thing was that I would have liked to have him open up a little bit more. Yeah. But it's just I'm just critiquing just because, and it's one of those things that it would have made the movie better, probably not, because again he was so that character where it was just this kind of like, well, I don't know,
right.
But anyways, so.
Dude who never raised a kid before ends up being more of a father than her actual fucking father was.
Exactly.
Ugh.
And there was like some really cool little montage scenes. Oh, I forgot. The one scene that I was like shaken up by because I was like, damn, this is getting heavy.
Yeah.
It's the morning. No. So it is, he has probably spent the afternoon with her the first day after they've been killed. They had these couple of arguments. She's flung a gun off of the balcony, started shooting around willy-nilly. So there's been some things that like they have established.
He almost kills her.
That's what I'm getting to, is that there is this like relationship that they're kind of, sort of, like he's like, I don't know what to do right now. He keeps saying
the
like,
sooner
just
you're out of my life, the better.
Right. He's like, he keeps trying to like kind of go back on the fact that he saved her. I think he did the right thing, and then now it's kind of like,
okay, I saved
it's
you.
Like
we're done.
It's like when the dog catches the car, it's like, what do I do now? He did the right thing, saved the girl, and is now like, now what do I do? But it's this moment where he doesn't sleep, like laying down.
Right.
He lays in a chair and like lays it like
with his sunglasses on.
Yes.
In the dark.
With his fully loaded pistol on the counter next to him. And he just like tilts his head down and just kind of, I'm assuming,
with one eye open.
Right. And needless to say, he gets into position and does his thing like he normally does. He puts her to bed, and what I'm assuming is what bed he does have.
Right.
And in the middle of the night, he like just kind of gets like jostled around. Like you can tell he can't sleep or can't think about it. And just like picks up his gun and gets it all ready, and then just like has the silencer like put on, and just kind of like shuffles his way to the bedroom and like has the gun ready, and it's just like sitting there, and is like, And it was like, and at that moment I was like, oh shit, this is real.
Right.
Like this man does not know how to handle this situation. And I think that
It's freaking out.
yeah, is that I think that our the actor did such a good job portraying that, like, I shouldn't have done this.
Right.
I don't know what to do. And like you can tell he's like he's almost about to go back on what he does, on what he said. And then he just sits there and is like, just walks away. And you're like, oh man, it was like, it was tense for a moment.
I'm gonna raise me a kid.
Yeah, right. I loved the banter back and forth between them. It was so much fun. The very next day, they're like walking around. I'm assuming that I think they're moving apartments.
Right.
So they have all their
Fired
stuff.
off a fucking gun out the window.
Yeah. Well, and it's also, again, the crime scene is just, 2 doors down.
Yeah.
So they're leaving to go find a new place. Like the first words that are uttered from him again is, "Don't ever do that again."
Or I'll break your head.
Exactly. He's one of those characters that is a man of few words, but all the words that he does speak count.
Oh yeah,
and are very good. But how did you end up hearing about this movie initially?
Well,
or did you? Because I never heard about this.
It had popped up on my radar after I had looked into what other action movies were just out and about.
Right.
Just anything else I could get on my list that was palatable.
So you just like kind of heard about it?
Yeah.
Nice,
I'd heard it, and I had looked it up eventually. And since then, it was on the list.
Have you watched it before, or is this the first time you watched it as well?
This was the second time I've watched it.
Wonderful.
It's been a while.
Yeah. I really enjoyed this. It was how would you describe? It was very high stakes adrenaline at times, but it cut it really well with these moments of being at home in normal life, quote unquote normal life.
Yeah.
And it did a really good job balancing that. The movie ebbed and flowed into those movies. Those moments really well. I thought there's these moments when it's like chill and calm.
It's got a sort of ascending roller coaster feel.
Right. Then it escalates into this moment, and of course, then we kind of like, oh, okay,
down a little bit.
But it's interesting how many.
It only
times,
ever goes up. It never goes back down.
Yeah. Well, it kind of
as a whole,
it levels out,
right.
kind of,
and then it just keeps going up.
Yeah, I must say, Gary Oldman. Wow,
dude, Gary Oldman is fucking
awesome. Oh
awesome.
my god,
he's so fucking good in this movie.
He is good in many other things, but man, he portrayed. So again, he's kind of the main antagonist,
right,
I would say.
Stansfield.
And he, you think that, or at least this is what I thought, because again, I think they set it up to make you feel like this. You feel like he's kind of like the drug lord guy,
right?
Because that's the whole reason what he's doing. He's coming because again, someone's taking a cut or mixing the
crack didn't quite come back so pure.
Exactly. So things aren't adding up, and he's kind of the big bad guy. You feel like a drug lord of some kind,
right?
But as the movie, moves on, you've come to find out he's a police officer. Which is even more
the DEA.
Which is even more messed up,
right?
But he also has this sort of eccentric, like weird.
He's fucking crazy.
He's crazy in this movie.
He's a psychopath.
He speaks a lot about music and cares about how and he just has these
someone
weird.
That shouldn't be a part of any form of law enforcement.
No. He definitely feels like. That he's a drug addict of some capacity, but he has
pills.
And that's what I'm saying. He's a guy who looks like he's on crack, just hands down.
Oh yeah,
but he has this little tin, of pills,
right?
And he just
nondescript.
And he always takes it out and does a little like he just like
they're fucking Tic Tacs.
Yeah, yes, exactly. but I don't know what the drug is that he has, but they're in these green and yellow capsules. He puts it in his mouth and he kind of gets it into position to bite it, and he always rears his head back and like you hear him crack it, bite it, and he's like, and And he's like, and he's like, oh, I love it so much. I'm like, damn, son, you're
okay.
like, this man is on a whole new level. And and then of course he starts like babbling on about all kinds of stuff, but he has that sort of, almost like the Joker.
Yeah.
Where he feels insane, but he seems coherent enough that you're like, I'm scared.
Right.
Because he's like, I don't know. He has a gun. He's just flailing a gun around.
Yeah,
but
it's nothing.
Like it's nothing. And he's definitely shot people.
Oh, yeah.
And killed them.
He puts everybody on edge.
There was an old lady that walked out of her apartment complex like, leave that poor family alone. He shot the glass next to her. Mm-hmm. It was like, go back in your home, lady.
Right.
And I was like, damn, son, calm down.
Yeah.
Anyways. But he does such a good job of portraying this like, it's just this messed up man. Mm-hmm. But anyways, as the movie trucks
I want you
along,
to get everyone. What do you mean everyone? Everyone!
Supposedly the director added that line because it made him laugh. He added that one in particular. Yeah. So
that is one of my favorite parts.
Yeah, we'll get on to some fun facts in a moment, but the girl Matilda ends up finding out that these police officers were the people that killed her family. Was the family that killed her police. I'm kidding.
Right. Killed her 4-year-old brother specifically.
Yes. And
she
that
wasn't too much broken up about the other 3.
Oh, yeah, definitely not. She even said that. I think he even asked that. If you didn't care about any of them, why are you crying? And she was like, well, because they killed my 4-year-old brother, and there was no point in doing that.
Yeah.
That was messed up, I would say. That
definitely.
was really messed up. But how would you even describe how it just escalates so perfectly that she ends up trying to take out the police officers herself by going to their office area and do it. And then things end up coming about, and our guy Léon gets found out because of him killing other police officers for Matilda. It's a whole tangled web.
Yeah, she gets caught at the office.
Right,
and he goes and rescues her.
Exactly. And then the guy, it's Norman Stansfield, who's played by Gary Oldman.
Yes.
He finds out about all of it, and he's like, I'm going to get this guy.
Right.
And so he goes to their apartment building. Mm-hmm. She's coming back from getting groceries. She gets kind of nabbed up in a sec, and they have this whole altercation or whatever.
The SWAT team has got her hostage.
And dude, this is where the movie shines, I feel like. So at this moment, they have a secret knock that they're supposed to have. Right. And then of course, as Matilda, which by the way, may I say, is played by Natalie Portman. Yeah. I had no idea that she was an actress at that young of an age. Mm-hmm. I think she was 12 or 13 in this film, which was insane. So they end up nabbing her up and asking her a bunch of questions is he alone? Is he expecting you? All that kind of stuff that you'd imagine a SWAT team would ask a hostage in this moment or whatever. And then he said is there some sort of secret code to get in the door? And then she hesitates for a second. I was like, no, just say no or whatever. She says she says yes, but then gives him gives the SWAT team an incorrect knocked. And I was like, oh, that is so good. Yeah. And it gives him just enough time to get into position. And I don't know how he did it, but he was able to suspend himself above the door. Yeah. And dude, this guy just comes out akimbo with, and it's nuts. Mm-hmm. These guys come into the, they beat open the door or whatever. They all get knocked out before, because he closes the door behind them. Right. So he's above the door frame. Everyone walks in the room. He closes the door, gunshots everywhere. And everyone's like, holy shit, what's going on?
Door opens back up. Everybody's on the floor, dead.
It's so clean. And then he just it's almost as if doing a pull-up. He which again, I didn't think about this until just now. It makes so much sense with him doing all these
he does sit-ups.
He's sit-ups
as part of his morning routine.
Exactly. And so he almost I think it's hard to describe this. If you're being suspended in air with like your legs being like in like on something, like on like a pole or something,
right?
And then of course you just lay your body down. He's like upside down in a doorway,
right,
facing the hallway that they're in.
And
so
just got himself upside down, two guns blazing.
And just starts blasting.
Yeah.
What was that meme we saw?
It
was the gun. It was the gun, and it has and it's a Baja Blast Mountain Dew.
Oh God!
So I was just out there Baja blasting. It's a magazine to a gun,
right?
Anyway, so he's just out here blasting it up,
mm-hmm.
And then of course he gets his way down, and then I'm assuming it's the senior officer there, is like, okay, go check and see who's there. And so a guy just like rounds the corner, and as he's like peeking his head out, our boy Leon's like hugged up against the wall and is right there with a gun. And he's like, do you see anything? And he's like,
yeah,
hey,
it's the guy. He's got a gun in my head.
It's so good.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Anyways, it's so well choreographed. That whole sequence, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have this real moment where before all this, Leon has like left money for her.
Yeah.
With Tony, which
good old Tony.
Tony kind of feels like a scumbag a little bit too.
Yeah.
But that's just me. He like tells her that like he's got money set aside for her, like go there and all that kind of stuff just in case like I don't make it out. Mm-hmm. And then you'd believe that again, this is where he's gonna go out in a blaze of glory.
Right.
And it even kind of seems like that because he turns around and he like screams and there's like this wacky camera angles. So interesting. Mm-hmm. They end up for some reason, and I love that Stansfield he addresses this. Mm-hmm. They shoot like a missile or something in the room, and it like blows up. Mm-hmm. And the guy it immediately cuts downstairs to the radio going, "What are you guys doing up there? I just said to catch the guy,
right?
Or no, bring the guy down.
What is going on?
Take the guy down, not take the whole building down.
Right.
Damn."
Mm-hmm.
And then of course. Just like Leon would do in a nice, really good situation like this.
Subverts your expectations.
He ends up taking one of the uniforms of the guys and is like, "Oh, help, I'm wounded."
Right.
And I was like,
someone please.
What a sly dude.
Mm-hmm.
And of course he gets...
finesses the entire SWAT regiment.
Oh my God.
There were so many officers.
But dude, yeah, you're right. But the only thing is, like, he didn't end up subverting Stansfield, and you can tell. There's like a moment whenever he kind of catches him, and
he's
he
got
feels,
that sixth sense.
Yeah, exactly. But there's this beautiful moment whenever there's this music going on, and it's almost like a song box, like a lullaby.
Yeah,
and it feels very childlike, and it's very unique in that moment because it seems like the guy is not in tune with his inner child. Mm-hmm. Or like he almost suppresses some of it. Anyways, it's just this kind of weird.
So, you talking about Stanfield?
No, Leon.
Oh,
he kind of has this like you can tell he has this kind of joy on the inside of him, this kind of childlike wonder, but it's almost like it feels like
subdued.
Yes, it feels like it's masked because again. Of his greater purpose is what it feels like, kind of. So he has these fun moments where he's able to kind of be goofy or whatever.
Right.
But for the most part, anyway, it was just a commentary on his character or whatever. I don't really have any well-developed thoughts about it. I just thought it was interesting that there's this kind of like childlike music happening as he's like wounded after this previous fight, and he's like going down this hallway, which our boy Stansfield was walking the other direction shortly, and you're like, I know where this is going.
He's waiting for him.
Exactly. He gets a chance to walk out, and there's this beautiful sunshine, and he like gets to see the light out of at the end of this tunnel, and then of course Stansfield's right behind him and shoots him.
Yeah,
which really sucks. And I was I got so upset for a moment because I was like, I want so badly. Do I want Leon to make it out? I know that he's probably a killer. He's probably doesn't have the cleanest record.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that he's not a good guy.
He's got to raise his daughter.
Exactly, and that's the thing.
He's got a kid.
Right. And it just compounds on all that. You're like, man, of all the people that probably deserve like even though
a fresh start.
Yes, a chance to get away with this person, this girl that he kind of has taken on as his own, that he obviously cares a lot about.
Right.
The fact that you can imagine he's gonna die here is what it feels like. It just really stinks, and you're like, and of course the fact that Stansfield is there, kind of rubbing it in,
right?
And it's like I'm the one and only. But dude, and I knew from the moment this was happening, I knew what was going on. He takes Stansfield's hand and like very discreetly put something in it and holds it, and he says, "I want to give this to you.
This is from Matilda.
This is from Matilda." And he struggles to get Matilda out.
Yeah.
And at this point, it's probably been the better part of a few seconds. And then, of course, Stansfield looks at his hand.
It's like,
and
that's a grenade pin.
Exactly, it's the pin from a grenade. And then Stansfield opens up his jacket, and there's like 8 of them.
Yeah, he's just like, oh shit,
dude. Yeah, and then he said, I looked at it and I said the same thing in my head. I was like, oh shit. And then of course he just looks and goes, oh shit. And then the whole place goes ablaze. And I was like, oh, what comeuppance. What a good chance.
That's what happens.
Yes. So good.
Yeah.
I loved it. There's a nice like touching moment whenever Matilda goes to a school that she was supposed to go to. I'm guessing it's like a boarding school of some kind,
right?
Like a correctional facility. And so she actually goes back there and tries to kind of get her life straight and all that. And she talked with Léon about his plan. He was like, "It's my best friend, just like me. No roots anywhere, and it's still thriving." And she was like, "But you can like plant some roots somewhere and like make it grow." And I think he considers that whenever he gives her the plant as well, which is really heartfelt and warming as well, and it's really wonderful. And so she plants this kind of fern or something in the ground and says, like, "I think this is a good place to put down some roots, Léon." And I was like, oh, how warming and how lovely of a scene. Yeah. But speaking of some of that, did you know that Natalie Portman was originally turned down?
Really?
Yeah. Léon marks the scene debut of Natalie Portman, who was 11 years old when she was cast as Matilda. Portman beat out roughly 2,000 young girls to win the part. Among other high-profile named actresses considered for the role, including Liv Tyler and Christina Ricci, supposedly. How impressive.
Pretty cool.
Supposedly, it said that the director said that Léon was always intended to be. Is it Jean Reno?
I don't know.
It's okay. So it's Jean.
Right.
Reno or Reno. So I don't really know how to pronounce his name. I'm just going to say Jean because that's what I think it is. However, he said that Mel Gibson, Robert De Niro, and Keanu Reeves were all attracted to the role in various stages of pre-production.
Oh, dude.
I think I liked it as
it turned out great.
Yeah.
But man, it would have been neato.
Right. Let's see. It said that Natalie Portman had a smoking stipulation. For obvious reason, Natalie Portman's parents had several concerns about the adult nature of Matilda, such as
smoking.
They signed a contract with the producers that that specified an exact amount and way in which Matilda could be depicting smoking cigarettes on screen. In contrast, a total of 5 smoking scenes were agreed upon. In the scenes, Portman was barred from inhaling or exhaling smoke on screen. The character Matilda had to quit smoking over the course of the film, which was one of the stipulations. All of this was agreed upon and was adhered to by the final cut of the film. How nice.
Say no to drugs, kids.
Say no to drugs. Say no to...
Or else your entire family's going to get murdered.
Right.
While you're out shopping for groceries.
What was your favorite part about this movie?
I think my favorite part would have to be Leon's interactions with Tony.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's actually kind of surprising.
Well, I mean, because it hints at his past and how he got to America, how Tony took him under.
Yeah, I guess you're right. That is really good. Tony definitely feels like one of those like stereotypical like Italian mobster guys from New York.
Yeah.
Very strange, very in the shadows.
Yeah. Nobody knocks down old Tony.
It said that for his preparation as the titular hitman, a.k.a. the cleaner, Reno deliberately played Leon as a slightly mentally impaired or emotionally stunted man.
Yeah, it did kind of come off.
Which he said as if he were a young child kind of stuck in a body of an adult. Reno felt it necessary for the audience to remain on his side and believed he could never pose a physical threat to Matilda. For scenes that it says for scenes that called for such matters. Oh wow. Okay, yeah, so it says for scenes that controlled such matters, like such taboo subject matters and stuff like that. He said that Reno actually allowed Portman to control the emotional tone of the sequence on purpose.
Oh yeah.
For that reason, as to come across as like this. That's so interesting.
Neat.
Yeah. The director used mint oil to make Portman cry on command. How interesting.
Mint oil.
Yeah.
Wow.
It says thanks to a rather cruel method, the director Portman learned how to cry on cue while filming. During the emotional scenes in which Matilda discovered apply some mint oil and
take a little whiff of this, kid.
And do some tears on scene.
Jeez.
Wow.
Wow.
Funny. That's so interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Gary Oldman improvised most of his lines.
Good.
He's
just that good.
In this movie, Gary Oldman gives one of his most iconic performances as the pill-popping psycho crooked cop Stansfield. What a good what a good
that sums it up perfectly.
A good batch of words right there.
Right.
Many of his most memorable lines and scenes were actually improvised by Oldman on the spot.
Those are always the best ones.
Those are always especially
come up with on the spot.
They're always the best ones by the right actors.
Right.
If given, I mean, I like Robin Williams is a prime example of like a guy who just is good in the moment.
Yeah.
And can do that. And there's
the gold standard.
There's other actors like I wouldn't be surprised if Johnny Depp was another one of those that just
I'm
was
sure.
in a character and just kind of ad-libbed. There wasn't just like, please, everyone record now, please.
Do it now before I lose it.
Exactly. In 2014, it says Oldman confused his famously loud line, "Bring me everyone," was done as a joke to make Benson chuckle. In previous takes, he recited the line at a normal volume, but then said Oldman then took the sound man to take off his headphones so that he could shout the line as loud as possible.
Oh my God. That's the best.
Which was the take that they ultimately used in the final cut. Oh, man.
Oh, that's perfect.
It said that Oldman also ad-libbed the speech about his love of Beethoven and the scene where he sniffs Matilda's father. That whole sequence was all ad-libbed as well.
man.
which is crazy.
That's really funny.
Let's see. It said, this is kind of an interesting one. It said that a real criminal mistook the film's cops for the real thing.
Really?
Yeah, there was a whole bunch of, let's see, while filming an exterior scene in which several police cars lined the New York City block, a real-life criminal who had just robbed a nearby store was tricked by the production team when he accidentally ran onto the movie set during his escape attempt.
Oh, my God.
As the man fled the crime scene, he inadvertently stumbled onto the set of Léon. He saw all the fake police cars and immediately turned himself in.
What? Oh, my God.
Little did he know, he turned himself into a group of extras posing in uniforms as police officers.
That is amazing. Oh, my God.
Wow, dude.
That's the funniest fuck. Can you imagine that dude
Wow.
gets into the
Just
prison
like, he's
and
like,
it's just like,
oh shit. It's like, oh no. There's just a whole group of them. They've been waiting for me.
Man, what did you get in for? Oh, I was tricked by a bunch of fake police officers and turned myself in.
A bunch of extras staging as police officers.
Wow, you're stupid. Oh my God.
Wow.
That is the funniest fucking thing I've heard in a while.
Yeah.
Woof.
It said that there was a much darker ending, like potentially in mind. That the original ending of Léon was conceived to be far darker than it had transpired originally in the released version.
Right.
Rather than planting Léon's favorite shrub outside of the orphanage to honor his memory and start a new life, Matilda was to go on a murderous, insane rampage. When Stansfield shoots Léon dead, the original ending called for Matilda to open her jacket and reveal a series of live grenades planted on her person. She would then perform the ring trick Léon taught her earlier, apparently, to detonate the building.
Wow.
Ultimately, this was deemed too dark and inconsistent with Tilda's nature.
Damn.
So he changed the ending. But wow, that is interesting.
Well, I'm glad we got what we got.
Yeah, for real.
Jeez.
Yeah. So, anyways, that is a
it's a good film.
that is a really good film. I liked it a lot. It was very interesting and fun and scary. Oh man.
Yeah.
It is interesting how every character feels like there's always a bigger fish.
Yeah.
There's always a bigger guy.
Right.
You see one guy, you see the dad of like Matilda. There's this kind of middleman talking to him, like really being really nice. And there's this other guy who's kind of like listening to music and kind of feels like the real big bad guy. For probably the better part of half the movie, you feel like Leon's like the main man. Mm-hmm. He kind of feels like he's on top until he starts talking to Tony in a certain way.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, like Tony's kind of the one that's kind of calling the shots for him and kind of gets upset that he's, being distracted. Mm-hmm. And it's like, oh, it's so strange. Even our guy Stansfield has like guys that are like, asking him questions like, he's like, what did he say? I don't need this Mickey Mouse bullshit.
I don't have time for this Mickey Mouse bullshit.
So interesting. Anyways. Oh, what a fun time.
Yeah.
I'm
glad we got to watch this one.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Just to put a little nice cherry on top, how would you describe this movie in 3 words?
Ah, shit.
I said it correct that time.
Good. That's a new one.
Describe this word in 3 movies.
No. We're right back down to 0.
Right.
0 days that Ian
Says
has gone
last
illiterate.
fumble. Nice.
Let's see. 3 good words.
Cool hand, Leon.
Let's see.
Slick.
Slick.
Slick gun dad. Just thinking of words.
Slick gun dad.
Right.
Oh, fuck.
Drug-induced coma. I don't know.
It's more than 3 words. Fuck.
We'll do a little small phrase. Do a hyphenated word.
Okay.
I'll let you get away with 4.
Okay. Pill poppin' police officer.
Nice. I love it. What was that? Let me see. Where was it at? Oh, come on. I got to find it again. Here we go.
Oh, yeah. His whole descriptor.
Yeah. As the pill-popping, psycho, crooked cop Stansfield.
Jesus.
Mouthful. But that is very appropriate.
Oh, yes.
For
Very
his character.
apt.
Anyways. What a fun ride that was.
Yeah.
I definitely would recommend watching this movie. And again, I'm gonna end this show like I started it. You can definitely see any of the listeners out there
with your eyes.
You watch this movie and you're like, yeah, there's definitely a 90s flair about this. I specifically a 90s New York flair about it. You're like, that just is. There's definitely a setting about it. And you're like, I see what this is.
Yeah.
Anyways,
it is recognizable.
Yeah.
Who doesn't know New York?
Right. I don't think it was in the 90s. Maybe it was in the 90s, but Home Alone, the second one was just all in New York. It was like, New York. Okay, cool. Anyways, until next time, thank you so much for listening. If you're looking for, I didn't get a chance to say the ending part like we normally do. If you're trying to find us, you can type in Linktree/Ian Wolf, and you can find all of our different links there, or you can just type in the Aftermath on all the major podcasting platforms, and you can find us. Try and reach out to us. Give us some suggestions.
If you
know
want.
Some of you guys have talked to us about it, but hey.
No pressure. I'm not good at talking to people.
You know how it is. Anyways, now let's get back to it again. Thank you so much for listening. I appreciate it. And until next time.
Smell you later.
Bye-bye.